Hi there, my name's Andy Young and I'm one of the automotive lecturers down at Unitec in Auckland, New Zealand. And I'm currently working on the hoist down there, is a 2014 Yamaha Grizzly 450cc farm ATV. It's one of the four-wheel drive versions and it's got the electric power steering too. This video is to show you the correct way of fitting a new spark plug to the engine. Yes, I know it's a really basic task, but it's surprising how often it's done incorrectly. Okay, here we go. Okay, stay in focus, damn you. Okay, so just down here, this is the spark plug cap, and I've already removed the plastics off the side. The fuel tank guard is gone, and the side plastics. These side plastics just pull out of the way. They're pretty easy to get rid of. And you've got to pull off the spark plug cap. Now, whatever you do, don't pull on the HT lead. That's really bad. Just pull on the cap. There we go. Let's get rid of that out of the way. And now we need the correct size socket to fit on that spark plug. Now, this particular spark plug takes an 18mm socket. So we'll just get that cracked off. There we go. And then we just need to use the socket really, because they're not that tight, just to extract the plug. And the spark plug can tell you an awful lot about the running of your engine as well, so when you take the plug out, it's a good idea to have a little look at it. Even though you're going to replace it, it's nice to know whether your bike's running rich or lean, or whether it's got water leak problems or whatever. So take a note of the condition of the spark plug, and it should be like a tan colour, which is pretty much what this one is. It's really good. So that's a pass. But if you look on Google, there's lots of charts. In fact, I might even stick it on this video for you. There's charts that show you what plug colour means as regards engine running condition. Really helpful. A really quick and easy way to tell how your bike or your car is actually running. Okay, so we'll head over to the bench and we'll take a look at the new plug. Now, I always swear by NGK. They pretty much are the OE spec spark plugs for most Japanese vehicles, and they're really good. I've never really had any major problems with them at all. They just do what they're supposed to do, really, and they're not that expensive. Sure, they're not the cheapest out there, but they're good. Now, you need to make sure. Oh, just to let you know, the type of spark plug that should be used on this particular bike, that's the 2014 Yamaha Grizzly 450, should be a DR8EA. Now the R stands for resistor on an NGK spark plug, and unfortunately the shop that I got this from didn't have the resistor version of the plug, but it's still okay to use a D8EA. The only difference is that you might get some interference on things like car radios and stuff if that was in a car, but it's on a quad bike and we don't have radios, so shouldn't be a problem. Now, the plug gap is critical. We've got a little gap between the electrodes. Oh, there you go, look in there. And that's where the electric jumps across and makes the spark, and that's what ignites the fuel. Now, if the gap's too small, the spark's going to be too small and you might have misfire problems. It may not be big enough to ignite the fuel. Okay, so why not make the gap huge and have a big spark? Well, the problem with that is it can overload the ignition system and cause problems later on. You can get things like coil failure. And if the HT lead is wet, say if it works in a wet environment, it might be easier for the spark to break through the insulation of the HT lead and then go to ground through your frame or your handlebars if you're riding. And then, of course, your engine will die. So the bigger we make that gap, the more problems we might have in, again, engine running, especially in wet conditions. So it's really important that spark plug gap is correct. And the specification for this particular bike is between 0.6 and 0.7 millimeters. So here I have a feeler gauge, which is, you probably want to see this, 0.66. Oh, there you go, look. Okay, 0.66 on there, millimeters. So that's about bang in the middle of spec. And this is straight out of the box. And is it going to work? Yes, it's perfect. Well done, NGK. That's what I like to see. Okay. One other thing you should bear in mind with spark plugs is if you drop one, just throw it in the bin, because it isn't going to work very well. They don't like shock, and they don't like to be dropped. If they're all burnt around the bottom of the porcelain, when you take the old one out, that's an indication that the engine's been running too hot as well. Okay, so yeah, great Andy, it's all set to fit. It is. There's one last thing we need to do, and this will help you next time round. So this is from England. This is still going. I don't use a lot of copper paste really, do I? So this is like 7 years old. It's still going. Ben found another pot that we brought with us. Put a little bit of copper paste on the threads of the spark plug. Now you can't use grease because grease isn't heat resistant. Copper paste is. And just put a little bit, we're not talking very much, and you don't have to cover all the threads because it'll work its way around as you tighten it up. Just a little bit of copper paste on the threads, because when you fit that spark plug, it could be in there for a very, very long time. Some people don't change these for years, and then when you come to take it out, it could be seized in and it could be a real problem. And it's even more important on the smaller threads. So a bit of copper paste is important, so do that and you'll thank me later for it. Okay, there's other types of spark plugs. Well, there's different ways that spark plugs seal in the cylinder head, and this one's got what we call a crushable washer, which realistically should only be used once. It's just the same as one of those crushable sump plug washers that you get. It's a use once item and you can't replace it. So strictly speaking, if you remove this spark plug, it should really fit a new one. That's what that washer's saying. But there are other types. There are other spark plug types out there that don't have crushable washers. They have like a conical interface with the head. It's like a taper. So you tighten it up and the taper creates the seal as it tightens. This isn't like that. This relies completely on that washer. Now sure, I've on a regular basis refitted spark plugs back into a cylinder head. You know, old spark plugs obviously reusing that crushable washer. But by the book, it's not right, but it works. So just be aware of that. Okay, so we're going to pop this back into the cylinder. Oh, this is going to fit this. Sorry, we're going to install this into the cylinder head of the YFM 450, and we're going to set it to a particular torque. Now, on this type of plug, it's a torque setting that it goes to, but again, some spark plugs are finger tight and then 90 degrees off, 45 degrees or whatever it is. You've got to check. You need to find out because there are different styles out there. And this one should be tightened to 18 Newton meters. Let's install this new spark plug into the head of the YFM 450. Here we go. Right, so I can't get a particularly good camera angle for you. You can't see the actual threads of the spark plug hole. And it's more about feel for me as well. So what is important is that you feed those threads in. We don't want to damage the threads in the head. That will be really, really important not to do that. And, you know, don't fret over it. If it takes a while, it takes a while. There we go. And they should be, you know, pretty easy to get in all the way down. If they're not, take it back out, take a look and see what's going on, because if those threads have started to get picked up and damaged in the head, and you know, you might have a bit of a problem. Right, torque wrench. Okay, so we said 18 Newton meters, didn't we? Right. Now it'll feel a bit weird because that crushable washer has to crush, so you'll get a fair few turns at the same kind of resistance, and then it'll suddenly get tight. There we go. Done. And one last thing, well, to put the HT lead back on again, the plug cap. So when you're refitting that, make sure that it goes all the way down on its clip. There we go, sorted. Okay, so there you go. Really short, hopefully, video on how to correctly install a spark plug. And yeah, sure, this one's on a Yamaha 450 Grizzly, YFM 450. But you know, it's a similar process for pretty much all engines, but you do need to double check as to what the manual states, because you might have a different style of spark plug to what we fit on this, or what I fitted on this particular bike. So check the torque settings, check also your plug gap. Don't forget to put a little bit of copper paste on the threads as well, and make sure that the plug cap is properly installed and it's all the way home on those little serrations at the top of the spark plug. Okay, well, if you've got any questions or comments, then please add them below and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. If you'd like to subscribe to the channel, then do so and you'll get free notifications as and when any new videos get uploaded to the Andy Mechanic channel. And that's usually at least 3 or 4 a week. I reckon it'll be about 10 this week, I think, the way things are going. Okay, well, cheers for now. Over and out.